How's it going, trainers, and welcome to another Pokemon Go PvP video. Today we're going to be going over the Kingdom Cup, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Now, in this yellow triangle-like area is a thing that I like to call the Three Kings. It is Lucario, Bastiodon, and Lapras. Lucario pretty much rules over them both and could handle them handedly, especially Bastiodon. There are scenarios in which they could win if Bastiodon could get the flamethrower off with no shields, and if Lapras can get 2 surfs off, but that's less than likely. As you can see, the meta kind of works around it. You can see that Blaziken counters both Bastiodon and Lucario on that top left side. What we're going to call are the Dragons and Dragonair, Flygon, and Kingdra are very good against Bastiodon. And then we're going to call the bottom half almost kind of like a fire/flyers. The fires being Alola Marowak and Charizard, and the flyers being Skarmory and Altaria. Although they're not necessarily utilized in that way. Alola Marowak, actually, you're going to want Hex, Shadow Ball, and Bone Club, and its main purpose, since it's a ghost type, Lucario can't even touch it. Its Bone Club is useful against stuff like Bastiodon and Lapras, so that's where he kind of ties in. Altaria is able to counter Lucario, but it just can't take a Shadow Ball, so it's a little tricky. And, Skarmory versus Lucario is kind of a clear idea right there, Flyer versus a fighting type. And yeah, go ahead and move it on to the right side of this graphic. On the right side, you can see Celio, first of all, beats Lapras, and Celio is also a good substitute for Lapras. As in previous metas, it's just a good budget, or if you don't have the legacy or just don't want to invest into a Lapras kind of option. Melmetal and Bronzong also counter Lapras, amongst other things, but we're going to go ahead and move on to team composition. Now, the most popular thing in this meta is something called Ball Core, and what it stands for is Bastiodon, Altaria, Lucario, and Lapras. And essentially, unlike other metas, this meta is really refined, and you're going to see in any competitive team that 4 out of the 6 mons are going to be these 4. I mean, there are outliers, like Lapras could be Celio, kind of thing, but otherwise, this is the core. This is what people run, and then they choose, I guess, a 5th and 6th flex option based off of how you feel. But even in that, in team comps, you'll often see that just 3 of those 4 are in the team. Now, the moveset you're wanting to be running with Bastiodon, it's pretty an obvious one. You run Smackdown as your fast move, and Stone Edge and Flamethrower. It's going to give you great coverage against Lapras, Alola Marowak, Altaria, Celio, Skarmory kind of ideas. Altaria with Dragon Breath, Sky Attack, and Dragon Pulse is going to be giving you great coverage against Flygon, Alola Marowak again, Celio again, Blaziken, and Lucario. Just, again, watch out for that Shadow Ball. It's really sneaky. Lucario's moveset is going to be Counter, Power Up Punch, and Shadow Ball. Its counter allows you to beat Lapras. It wrecks Bastiodon and Celio. Does fairly well against Steelix, just watch out for Crunch, and it does well against Dragonair as well, that we'll talk about later. The moveset on Lapras. Now, there are several ones you run like normal with Lapras, but the preferred in this meta is Water Gun, and according to pvpoke.com, 80% of users, whoever uses it, for the poll, is 80% Water Gun. And I'm definitely going to agree with that. Water Gun allows you to beat Alola Marowak, Flygon, Steelix, Blaziken, and Dragonair. You're going to want Surf and Ice Beam as your next 2 charge moves. Dragon Pulse wouldn't be that bad, but I feel Ice Beam is the better coverage move. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and look at some gameplay of me using literally just this ball core. So let's get right into it. Starting things off, I'm going to be leading with Lapras, and we're going to be using the Water Gun variant, like I said. If this was an Ice Shard variant, it would be doing very well against an Altaria lead, but as you can see with Water Gun versus the Dragon Breath, it's a pretty even matchup. However, you're going to get to Surf first, especially if you have good IVs. And we're going to go ahead and see if we could get a Shield Bait, and that we do, because she fears that Ice Beam, of course. She's going to have a Sky Attack or a Dragon Pulse at any moment. And I'm going to bet that this is Dragon Pulse, but I'm going to shield just because I want to preserve this. And it is a Dragon Pulse, and that would have hit pretty well. Of course, it's resisted because we're Ice type, but now we're going to go ahead and go for the Ice Beam and try to just take that, take the win, or take her last shield. Let's see how it goes. And she does shield, so we take both her shields, and she's going to have a Sky Attack at any moment. But she actually switches, so we switch. And an unpopular opinion, I'm going to let it die. And I'm going to come in with my Lucario, knowing that it's going to have a power-up punch, and shield it right away. And Lucario is a good counter to Lucario, as you're about to see. They both just kind of melt each other. But she has one power-up punch on her, so she will generally beat us, but we're going to tie. There we go. Then we're going to come in with our Bastiodon. We know she still has her Altaria, which is almost dead. And she has a Lapras. Now, this is an okay matchup. The Surfs are going to hurt, and she is going to get to them pretty fast. But all we had to do is land one Stone Edge, and it's going to kill this Lapras. So here we go. The Surf's going to land. It's going to do pretty decent. But then landing the Stone Edge will kill the Lapras, and everything that Altaria does to Bastiodon is resisted. So the game plan is just to land this and try to get to another or finish off Altaria with Smackdowns. So there goes the Lapras. She comes back in with her Altaria and immediately has a charge move, and I'm hoping it's a Sky Attack because we'll resist it. But it is unfortunately Dragon Pulse, and that is going to do a little bit more, not much as you can see, but in the critical health that we're at, it is going to be really, really close. You can see that Smackdown is just ripping through Altaria, and she gets to another charge, and that is more than likely going to be the end of this matchup. Bastiodon does generally win this matchup, but we just had such low health, so it's alright. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Now, in this one, we're going to go ahead and lead with Lucario, the king, really. And she's going to lead with the Bronzong. Now, this is you would think this would be a negative matchup, but it's pretty even. Her Steel typing doesn't do well against our Power-Up Punch, but her Confusions are doing pretty good against our Fighting subtyping. But we're going to do a Power-Up Punch really, really fast. And if she lets it land, it's going to do a pretty good chunk of damage, plus our attack is going to be increased. And it does land. She's pretty critical, and now our counters are doing even more damage. Now this, no matter what it is, it could be a Bulldoze or a Psyshock, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna kill us, so we're gonna shield it and preserve a Lucario. And a popular thing to do with Lucario in the Kingdom Cup meta is to pretty much always give it at least one shield, because it will do work for you. As you can see, we barely beat this Bronzong. But we at least have a power-up punch for whatever's coming in, and we are going to power-up punch no matter what it is. And luckily it is a Lucario, so if she didn't have a shield, this would just absolutely wreck her Lucario. But we're at least going to bait a shield out of her before she gets one counter in to finish us off. But notice how much our one counter did from our boosted power-up punches. We're going to come in with our Altaria. She switches. We immediately switch to our Bastiodon to counter her switch. Of course, it's a great matchup. She's stuck in this, and now you're really going to get to see Bastiodon shine in its best possible matchup, really. I mean, maybe outside of Charge would be an even better matchup, because that's a 2x weakness, but this is a great matchup, too. As you can see, Sky Attack does nothing, and instead of going ahead and finishing her off right away, we're going to go ahead and just farm, and farm, and farm, and farm, because of what we know is in the back. So we have a Flamethrower ready to bait the shield after we kill this Altaria. She gets another Sky Attack. It isn't going to do nothing. We're just going to peck her away with our Smackdowns. No cares in the world. Knock her out. Immediately Flamethrower to bait that shield, because Lucario cannot take that hit. So she's going to have to shield. And now we're going to hope that we have enough energy to get to a second Flamethrower. We do have a shield if we need it. And we're so close. She gets to a power-up punch. We're going to have to shield, because we're about one more hit away from getting to our Flamethrower. And this is really risky. I mean, because she's power-up punched. Her counter's going to be doing great damage, but we get to our Flamethrower, and we are going to just absolutely steal a win with Bastiodon in a totally negative matchup, to be honest. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. We had Altaria in the back, I believe, anyway, so it was going to be okay. Now let's go ahead and go into one more demonstration of this ball core. We're going to lead with Altaria this time, and we're going to walk into her Altaria. So this is just going to be a battle of the IVs. You could dupe each other. What I like to do, I kind of change it off based off the person. But in this one, I'm going to go ahead and charge up to the just about the Dragon Pulse to make her think it is, and go for the Sky Attack, as we miss a lot of bubbles. Man, dude. We get a great... she lets it land. If we could have got an excellent, we could have KO'd her. We know she has a Dragon Pulse at this time. If it's a Sky Attack or a Dragon Pulse, it's going to kill us. So we're just going to let it kill us, because this time we brought our Ice Shard Lapras. And about one hit from the Ice Shard, and it's going to body that Altaria yet, of course. And let her come in with whatever she has. We're anticipating the switch. She got her Lucario, and we're going to pretty much Lucario sack. And it should be just about even, but she gets to her power-up punch. We're not going to waste a shield. We're going to take the risk and let her finish us off, even though her powered-up counter is going to do a really good chunk on our Lapras right away. There it is. We get to our Surf. We have to use it before she gets to another power-up punch. Here it goes. Yeah, there's an excellent. Nice. She shields it, of course, because you should always shield your Lucario. We're going to have to shield. This is a bad situation. You're going to see the power of Lapras in just a second. So we finish her off with one more Ice Shard. We're almost to a Surf, realistically. So what is her last Pokemon? It is a Steelix. Now, this is a winnable matchup, but we are in the red. We're going to get a Surf. Here we go. Now, water does do good, but it doesn't do that much. She's going to shield it, and we need to get to that other Surf before she gets to anything. We still have one more shield. We're going to use it. We're at like 3 to 5 HP at this point. She uses Crunch. Our shield holds up. We get to a Surf, and we hit a good majority of the bubbles, thankfully. We're going to need an Excellent to see what we can do. We get the Excellent. It does a good chunk, but unfortunately we're just too low in HP, and she's going to finish us off, so GG's. So as you can see, the ball core, so to say, is a really strong area of the meta. But now let's go ahead and talk more about the three kings. The three kings of the meta, as I previously said it, are Lucario, Bastiodon, and Lapras. But I mostly want to talk about Lapras first. Lapras with its two movesets, Water Gun and Ice Shard. Let's talk about the differences. Water Gun wins the mirror against Ice Shard. It beats Bastiodon, Blaziken, Alolan Marowak, and Steelix. Ice Shard beats Altaria, generally the other dragons being Dragonair and Flygon and Shelgon, for example, and it also beats Skarmory. So it's more so what you want your Lapras to do. I would definitely still say that Water Gun Lapras should definitely be the majority choice and the correct choice, truth be told. Next up, Bastiodon. It's honestly just one hell of a hard counter to Altaria, as well as the other flyers. Its Stone Edge charge move does super effective damage to Lapras, so if you can land it, it's great. It does the same to Alolan Marowak, but you do gotta watch out for the Bone Club from Alolan Marowak, and it's a really good just wall to Bronzong as well. It does have to watch out for Bulldoze, but I mean, it's a good wall. Now for the rest of the three kings, there are relative budget options, not necessarily the best, but there are an okay budget option to Lucario, even though I wouldn't recommend it as a replacement to Lucario. I would definitely say if one Pokemon is going to be on your team of 6, it needs to be Lucario. But Blaziken, with Counter, Blast Burn, and Blaze Kick, just like in the previous old meta of Kingdom Cup, you could just use it for the counter capabilities. It's nothing like Power Up Punch, but yeah, Counter, Blast Burn, Blaze Kick, it's the next best thing in terms of what Lucario kinda does. Lapras, as we've already stated before, its best replacement is Celio. If you do decide to run Celio, you're going to want to run Water Gun fast move with Body Slam and Water Pulse. There is Aurora Beam, but I'm going to recommend the two more spammable moves that do a decent amount of damage and give you better coverage, truth be told. Bastiodon's replacement, he has like 3 replacements relatively, and he's really just a Dust Eater, so I could definitely see people needing to replace it, but you can replace it with Probopass, Steelix, or Melmetal. Let's talk about Steelix first. Steelix with Dragon Tail, Earthquake, and Crunch. It serves as a good hard counter to Altaria, while also countering Alola Marowak, Bastiodon itself, Bronzong, and Probopass. Probopass with Rock Throw, Rock Slide, and Magnet Bomb also serves as a good hard counter to Altaria, and it also counters Alola Marowak and Bastiodon as well. Just a slightly different moveset. Melmetal being the last one that might kind of replace Bastiodon in a sense. Also serves as a good hard counter to Altaria, and it counters Alolan Marowak, sort of, but it doesn't do very well against Bastiodon itself, but it does do good against Lapras. So if you're looking for additional Lapras coverage with relative Bastiodon roll, that would be a pretty good option. But Bastiodon, if you can invest in it, is a fantastic Mon, and I can't recommend it enough if you have a bountiful amount of dust. Next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about the hard counters to these popular meta Pokemon. The hard counters being Blaziken, Alola Marowak, Bronzong, Melmetal, and Steelix, all Pokemon we've kind of already said their names. But let's dive a little deeper into each of them. Blaziken will be running Counter, Blast Burn, and Blaze Kick is what you're going to want. It's a really good counter to pretty much the entire Three Kings meta, being Lucario, Bastiodon, and Lapras. Lapras a little less so, because you can't take that surf damage. But if you could land a Blast Burn in a given situation, it's going to do fantastic. You also don't like Bastiodon's Smackdown, but counter's coming so quick and it does such a large chunk every time it hits, and Blaziken's really fast, it's going to be okay. So Blaziken is great against Lucario, Bastiodon again, and if it lands a Blast Burn, it's good against Lapras, to sum it up. Now, Alola Marowak, which is a fan favorite of mine personally, you're going to be running Hex, not Rock Smash, Hex. It has good energy buildup. You're going to be running Bone Club and Shadow Ball for the charge moves. Now, Alola Marowak is fantastic against both Lucario and Blaziken, because both of them just can't touch Alola Marowak. They can't do anything to it. It's a great counter to Bastiodon via the Bulldoze, but it doesn't like the Rock-type charge moves. And it's great against Bronzong. It totally walls it with its Ghost and Fire subtyping. And it's great against Altaria in a situation that you could land the Shadow Ball. Otherwise, you're going to be taking too much from Dragon Breath, but if you have a Shadow Ball ready to go, it's going to wreck Altaria. It's awesome when it happens. Bronzong. Bronzong, you're going to want Confusion for your fast move, and Side Shock and Bulldoze for your charge moves. Now, Bronzong is a relatively new addition to Kingdom Cup. It wasn't so popular last time, thanks to the new 2 charge moves. It can now pretty much wall Lapras. It does great against Blaziken. It, again, walls Dragonair and Altaria. It's great against Bastiodon, and it has a relatively even matchup with Lucario, as you saw from our previous gameplay a little bit ago. So, given the right situation, IVs, and game choices, like in the heat of the moment, you can win that matchup, but at least it's even. Melmetal, as we stated before, will be running Thundershock for its fast move, and Rock Slide and Flash Cannon. And what's great about Melmetal is that Thundershock builds up your charge moves so fast, so you could spam that Rock Slide, which is really great for coverage against Lapras and Celio. It's really good against Alolan Marowak because of that, but you gotta watch out for that Bone Club yet again. And it's fantastic against Altaria, and it's pretty good against Dragonair as well, so Melmetal's definitely a good hard counter Mon. Last but not least, we got Steelix. Steelix, you're going to want to run Dragon Tail, Earthquake, and Crunch. It's okay against Alola Marowak. It doesn't like Bone Club, though, and you're going to see this as kind of the scenario with Steelix, is it's okay against Bastiodon. It doesn't like the Flamethrower. It's okay against Bronzong, but it doesn't like Bulldoze. The one thing it's pretty sure against is Altaria. It just walls Altaria, and that's kind of its biggest purpose. And it was a lot better last time around with Kingdom Cup, but with the introduction of something like Bronzong, I could definitely say that Steelix has taken a step back in the Kingdom Cup meta. So that is it for the hard counters. Let's go ahead and look at some gameplay, kind of trying to force use these hard counters and showing how you can really predict your opponent thanks to the B.A.L.L core. So we're going to lead with Blaziken, and she's going to come right in with Bastidon. So this is fantastic. You're going to see that Smackdown does a good chunk of damage when it hits, a decent amount, but our counters are just a tad bit better. So we have this matchup, but we're going to go for the Blaze Kick because we want to preserve our Blaziken in case she happened to bring both Lucario and Lapras behind it. That'd be fantastic. We're going to go for the Blaze Kick, and she shields it. So this lets me know that she might have just done that, and she switches to her own Blaziken, which is interesting. Wow. We're going to go for the Blaze Kick before we die out just to get some chip move, some chip damage, and as you're going to see, Blaziken is relatively glassy because this should be resisted, and it gets her right into the red. And she's almost dead, and we die. That's fine. We're going to come in with our Marowak and not shield whatever this is because it's either Blaze Kick or Blast Burn, and we are a fire type. And unlike Blaziken, Alolan Marowak is not glassy. Finish her off with a couple hexes, 2 to 3. Boom. Look at that energy gain from those hexes, too. Fantastic. We have a Bone Club almost ready. We're see what she comes in with. We know she has that Bastidon, and that's what she sends in. We're going to Bone Club it right away, and if this lands, this will KO her Bastidon, because Alolan Marowak, again, is a hard counter to Bastidon as well. She shields because she has a Stone Edge ready and waiting, and we're going to burn our first shield to preserve our Alolan Marowak. All we have left in the back, I believe, is Steelix in this game. So we definitely want to keep it alive because it won't do great against Bastidon. But we are going to switch to absorb this presumably Stone Edge, but she switches to her Lucario, which is not good, but at least we have a crunch ready and waiting. Here we go. Can we get an excellent, please? There we go. And it's going to land. It's going to do an okay chunk, but she is coming in with a power-up punch. So we are relatively forced to shield this generally, but we are going to take it because we want our Steelix to go bye-bye as fast as possible so that she gets less energy gain and less charge move capabilities against us, because we have a Bone Club ready. Here it comes. Hey, look at it, great. Ugh. If it would have got an excellent yet again, it would have finished her, but luckily she didn't have a power-up punch, and we finished her with a Hex. We got lucky right there. She's coming in with her Bastidon. We have to get this Bone Club. She gets to a Stone Edge, and we are going to burn our last shield. We're almost dead. We just got to get to that Bone Club. And we do, and we're going to steal this game away right at the last second. So, I really like Alolan Marowak. I don't want to be biased or anything, but I ran it last time, and I think my first Kingdom Cup I went to, I did not use it in every team of 3. So it's such a good mon. Now we're going to go ahead and do one more battle to showcase some more hard counter mons, and we're going to lead with Bronzong. And we're going to walk into an opposing Bronzong, and this is a pretty funny mashup. It's basically a race to get to Bulldoze or psyching each other out with the Psyshock. So I personally like to get almost to the Bulldoze and then sometimes switch, but I'm going to go ahead and get to that Bulldoze. But I know she got to hers, so we're going to shield, but come to find out, she went ahead and duped us with her Psyshock. That's fine. I needed a shield. She knows we're to our Bulldoze, so chances are she's going to shield. Otherwise, she'd just lose her Bronzong. That she does. And now we're back to square one. Now she's going to have better energy gain because she went for Psyshock as opposed to our Bulldoze, which cost us a tad bit less. We just got to Bulldoze, and that means she should definitely be to it. So we're going to shield again. We're going to go ahead and double shield Bronzong. And I like double shielding Bronzong because Bronzong has such little amount of weaknesses, truth be told. Even something like Lucario goes even with, so I'm comfortable giving it both of my shields. She goes ahead and double shields her Bronzong as well. So she is going to win this matchup, more than likely. We're going to go ahead and switch, assuming she's going for a Psyshock or Bulldoze. And it's probably going to be a Bulldoze. To our Alolan Marowak. Here it comes. Bulldoze. We're going to try to absorb it. We want to preserve that Bronzong to showcase it a little bit more. And we're going to go straight for the Bone Club because it's pretty fast. And that, if this lands, which it will, because she used both of her shields, it will finish this Bronzong off. Because again, it is super effective. Excuse me. She comes in with Lapras, and we're trying to get to another Bulldoze because that will do some pretty good chunk damage, but we just miss it. And we're going to come in with our almost charged up Bronzong and go for the Psyshock instead because we're anticipating her switch, and we were correct. And we are awful at the Psychic Charge move. This is by far my worst one. I just know it is. And it does great. If it was an excellent, it would have done even better. Story of my life. And as you can see, just an even scenario. We're to our Psyshock, we're trying, but she had charge move priority and is at her power up punch. That's no biggie. Whatever we come in with next is going to get it with one move, and that next Mon is Blaziken, which is a very good hard counter against it. So what does she got left? She has Lapras. Now this is not good. We cannot take a Surf, and she already has one. So you're going to see just how bad Blaziken is against a Surf, and that's just goodbye. Well, GG's, that's pretty much what I'm going to show you for the hard counters in this video, but we have one more section to go ahead and look at. We're going to go ahead and look at the dragon types. The dragon types are kind of a niche kind of thing. As you can see, we have Flygon, Dragonair, Garchomp, Kingdra, and Shelgon. Flygon, running Mudshot, Dragon Claw, and Earthquake is, I'm not kidding you, fantastic against both Bastiodon and Steelix. It's really good against Blaziken as well. It's pretty good against Bronzong, and it's great against Probopass. So those are some big names. I mean, being able to beat both Bastiodon and Bronzong, which are going to be two big picks, is a pretty good usage for something like a flex pick out of Flygon. Dragonair. Now, Dragonair is probably the more meta of these 5 dragons. Its moveset is now, not from last meta, but now more controversial. Dragon Breath is definitely the fast move, and Aqua Tail is definitely the most preferred charge move. But now I would actually argue the new charge move Return over what used to be Dragon Pulse on Dragonair. We're going to compare Return's damage and energy to Aqua Tail's. Aqua Tail deals 24 damage and costs 35 energy, whereas Return does 38 damage, so 14 more for 40 energy, 5 more energy, so 14 more damage for 5 more energy from Aqua Tail. Comparing that to something like Dragon Pulse, it takes 8 Dragon Breaths to get to Return, as opposed to 41 Dragon Breaths to get to Dragon Pulse. That is like a huge difference. So I would definitely argue that for great neutral damage. Return's going to be fantastic, so spammy. It's going to be, I'm going to make one, it's going to be fun. Just got to farm those Team Rocket Dratini, Shadow Dratinis. Dragonair is great against Celio, Flygon, Blaziken, Bastiodon, and Alolan Marowak, mostly due to that Aqua Tail covering the fire and rock types. But Return, like I said, is great neutral damage against everything in this cup. Next up we have Garchomp. Garchomp, I'm going to be honest, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to be running Mudshot, Outrage, Earthquake. Outrage, Earthquake take forever to get to with Garchomp, and really his only great matchups are against Bastiodon, Probopass, and Bronzong, which are good Mons, but that's really about it. And I would just, Garchomp more belongs in PvE, which would be like raids. I would just invest in good IV Garchomps for raiding as opposed to PvPing. Now with Kingdra, you could say, yeah, Outrage Hydro Pump on Kingdra is comparable to Garchomp's Outrage Earthquake, but it's really not. Kingdra's fast move Dragon Breath is just so good, and that is the moveset Dragon Breath, Outrage Hydro Pump you're going to want. Kingdra is fantastic against Lapras and Celio, and really good against Glassy Bond like Blaziken, and its Dragon Breath fast move just wrecks Flygon. Last up is Shelgon, and it's really more of an honorable mention. Shelgon, you'd want Dragon Breath, Flamethrower, and Twister. Twister is good for spammability, just Shelgon isn't very reliable. It has good coverage against Celio, Flygon, and Blaziken, much like the other dragon types, but it just doesn't quite make the cut. So that is going to sum up the Kingdom Cup meta. The most notable thing being the Ball core pretty much runs everything. Everything has to work around those 4 Mons. And I can't recommend enough that you put those 4 Mons on your team if you really want to compete in this meta. 5th and 6th choices are all preference based off your experience, because you could totally just get away with the tournament just running 3 of the 4 in the Ball meta. So, anyways, everybody enjoy your Kingdom Cup. Have a great time. I want to thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and bye. Bye.